Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel, the bold and beautiful always, and today we've got something really exciting for you. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Let's jump right in. The Forrester mansion had hosted countless celebrations, heartaches, and betrayals over the years, but nothing could prepare the family for the seismic tremor about to erupt, one that would not only shatter deeply rooted relationships but tear open long-buried secrets that Brooke Logan had spent decades suppressing, manipulating, and weaving into a carefully maintained web of deception, all to protect her image, her daughter Hope's identity, and the fragile Forrester legacy she had so desperately clawed her way into, because what began as a whispered conversation behind closed doors had now snowballed into a storm so ferocious that no one would emerge unscathed, not Ridge, not Steffi, not even innocent children like Hope or Kelly, for it began when Liam, weary from years of emotional tug-of-war between Steffi and Hope, finally submitted to a court-mandated DNA test for his daughter Kelly, not because he suspected foul play, but to ensure genetic compatibility during a medical emergency involving a rare blood disorder. But when the results came back, a hidden truth revealed itself in bold ink on an envelope Brooke had tried to intercept and destroy: the fact that Liam Spencer was not Kelly's biological father, and worse yet, the man who was her biological father was none other than Deacon Sharp, a fact Brooke had known for years and covered up using forged paternity test results, manipulated lab technicians, and the cooperation of a long-retired doctor who had recently passed away, taking with him any evidence of Brooke's decades-old arrangement. And it wasn't just Kelly's paternity that came under fire, because when Hope stumbled across a decades-old journal in one of Brooke's locked boxes while looking for childhood photos to show Beth, she discovered pages that shook the very foundation of her life, entries written in Brooke's own hand, detailing a brief but passionate affair she had with Whip Jones just before she reconnected with Deacon. Meaning there was a window in which Hope's biological father might not be Deacon at all, and worse yet, Brooke had taken a secret paternity test back then too, but had destroyed the result and chosen Deacon because it was the easier explanation, the one least likely to cause an uproar. And as Hope read the confessions, her face pale and trembling, she realized everything she had known about her origin was a lie, that her identity had been crafted out of convenience, her relationships shaped around a truth that didn't exist. And as she confronted Brooke, slamming the journal on the table in front of her mother, demanding answers, Brooke's face fell, the calm mask cracking into jagged pieces as she gasped and tried to feign ignorance. But it was too late, too much had unraveled, and soon Ridge walked in mid-confrontation, eyes narrowing, heart racing. The man who had forgiven Brooke more times than he could count, now realizing that the woman he had repeatedly left Taylor for had built her entire life on deception, not just to ensnare him, but to keep her secrets buried. And as the truth spilled like poison into the open, it didn't take long for Steffi to get wind of the revelation about Kelly, not from her father, but from Hope, who, devastated and betrayed, confessed everything during a breakdown at Forrester Creations, leaving Steffi frozen, eyes wide, jaw trembling, clutching a photo of Kelly as if it were the only thing grounding her to reality, whispering, "That's impossible. Liam is Kelly's father, we had a test." But Hope, shaking, could only respond, "Brooke had that test switched, too." And suddenly, Steffi's entire world collapsed inward, because Deacon Sharp, her longtime enemy, her mother's sworn rival's ex-lover, had fathered her child. And her mother Taylor, learning the truth, confronted Brooke in a volcanic showdown at the Cliff House, screaming through tears, "You stole Ridge. You manipulated the truth, and now you've corrupted our children's lives. How far were you willing to go just to keep your little world perfect?" And Brooke, finally cracking under the weight of her sins, fell to her knees sobbing, saying, "I didn't mean to hurt anyone, I only wanted to protect Hope and Kelly." But Taylor wasn't listening anymore, because she had heard enough lies from Brooke Logan to last a lifetime, and now the generational damage was spilling over into the lives of the youngest Forresters, with Douglas asking Thomas why everyone was so angry, and Beth crying because her mother couldn't stop shaking and crying at night. And while Ridge tried to mediate, tried to keep the family from imploding, he too was unraveling, realizing he had built his life with a woman who lied about the origins of their grandchild, who let Steffi raise a daughter under the shadow of a false fatherhood. And now Liam, caught in the crossfire, was left to deal with the fact that the little girl he raised, loved, and protected wasn't biologically his, that all the moments he thought were cemented in blood were now soaked in betrayal, and though he swore to Steffi he would never abandon Kelly, the tension became too much, the lies too heavy, and he walked out of the Cliff House that night with a duffel bag and tear-streaked face, saying, "I need time to breathe, to understand who I even am anymore," while Deacon, dragged into the storm after years of trying to clean up his image, was forced to acknowledge the child he never knew was his, a daughter raised as a Spencer, carrying a name that now felt false, and though he tried to reach out to Steffi, offering quiet apologies and restrained support, she slammed the door in his face, yelling, "You don't get to swoop in and act like a father now," and meanwhile Hope spiraled, struggling to process that her entire existence was a lie born from convenience, manipulated by the very woman she trusted most, and began pulling away from Brooke completely, moving into the cabin alone, refusing to speak to her mother, refusing even to accept her calls, as Ridge told Brooke that while he still loved her, he could no longer respect her, and without respect, love was meaningless, so he packed his things and left, seeking solace with Taylor, who wasn't sure whether to forgive him or send him away, her pain so raw, so fresh, she could hardly breathe without tasting salt, and as the days passed, the media got hold of the scandal, rumors swirled, headlines screamed Forrester family bombshell. Brooke Logan's lie exposed. While fashion reporters, clients, and socialites speculated on what the fallout would mean for the dynasty, and in a desperate move to reclaim control, Brooke called a press conference, sobbing as she admitted to making mistakes out of fear and love, but it was too little, too late, and though some viewers sympathized, many didn't, and Hope, watching from the shadows, only grew colder, telling Thomas, "She didn't do this for me. She did it for herself," and for once, Thomas was the voice of reason, gently reminding Hope that healing takes time, but even he struggled to hide his own pain, because the woman he loved was falling apart, not from heartbreak, but from identity collapse, and at night, Brooke sat alone in her house, the photo of a young Hope and baby Kelly framed beside her, and she whispered, "I only wanted to protect them," but even she no longer believed that, because the truth was Brooke had manipulated biology, love, and destiny itself just to maintain an illusion of control, and now that illusion had crumbled, her family scattered, her daughter emotionally orphaned, her granddaughter torn between three parents and no stability. And though years might pass, this betrayal would never be forgotten, etched forever in the legacy of the Forresters, the Spencers, and the Logans, as the lie that detonated generations. Bold and beautiful 2-week spoilers for July 21st to August 1st, 2025. See Luna Nozawa is in a coma and Finn is very suspicious of something. Bold and the beautiful spoilers, Grace gets grilled and Liam wakes up. 21st of July, Monday. Bridget Forrester is questioning Grace Buckingham at the hospital about why she approved Liam Spencer's departure right after he had thoracic surgery for the gunshot wound. This makes Grace Buckingham a possible suspect. So, will Grace tell Bridget about the experimental surgery she did, which I call dodgy, or will she sit quiet and see how it goes? Grace might not be aware that Finn is aware of the experimental surgery, but Finn is aware. Steffi Forrester and Hope Logan are very worried about Liam still, but it looks like he is going to wake up on Monday because Bill Spencer and Liam have a serious talk. Naturally, Bill will also inform him that the tumor has vanished. "You now have life back." Grace conducted a new MRI. It is miraculous. Additionally, it seems too good to be true. Bold and the beautiful spoilers, is Luna still alive? I think we'll find out. Luna, on the other hand, is shown to be unconscious. Now, this spoiler came from an unquestionably trustworthy source. However, none of the other websites that additionally obtain the data directly from the network have I observed it on. So, I'm very curious about this spoiler. I will say Lisa Yamada is still in the credits right below Jack Finnegan and just before new credits showing Ivy Forrester, Beth Spencer, and Kelly Spencer actresses are back for this week. Thus, it appears genuine. I'm going to share the spoiler with you, but I'm going to wait and see because this reputable website, I won't name them again, sometimes has a spoiler that other people don't. Additionally, it typically occurs when bold and the beautiful material is released late. As a result, I take it with a grain of salt. But I also never thought that she was dead. I believed Lee Finnegan's lies. So, watch for that. Bold and beautiful spoilers, romance, rivalries, and Italy trip drama from July 22nd to July 25th. Tuesday, July 22nd, Nick Marone is wooing Brooke Logan and getting full-on romantic with her, but she's still holding back just a little with Nick. And the reason why comes out on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Eric Forrester has this big talk about life and love and potential. The Forresters' trip to Italy has been confirmed. While they are out of the country, it looks like Eric has some plans to not bother him. This is the reason Nick is not receiving a complete yes from Brooke on Wednesday, July 23rd. When Nick is making these romantic overtures, it's because Brooke gives Ridge Forrester one last chance. She has essentially issued an ultimatum to him. It sounds like Brooke tells Ridge, "Look, break things off with Taylor Hayes. End this engagement. Don't deny our destiny. Select me." Ridge is certain to say no once more, I anticipate. That is going to be what has Brooke deciding to go ahead and move forward with Nick. Things are going to get really romantic for them while they're in Italy together. But they're not in Italy yet. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful. Daphne returns and Nick and Ridge battle. Also, Ridge and his brother Nick get really aggressive with each other. They won't get physical, not in my opinion. More of a verbal battle. But we all know Ridge and Nick don't like each other. Ridge can't really come down hard and act jealous about Nick with Brooke because that would put Taylor on edge. But obviously Ridge is really bothered. And speaking of being envious, Carter Walton is taken aback when Daphne Rose returns from Paris. I'm sure Hope will not be happy about this, but she knew it was coming. On Thursday, July 24th, Taylor suspects that Nick joining along on the trip to Italy the Forresters are making is to make a play for Brooke. Naturally, Taylor must want that to happen. Now, Nick is not simply following along with this. The headquarters of Marone Industries are in Italy. Therefore, Nick's visit to Los Angeles is purely coincidental rather than a planned trip to Italy. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, Eric warns Ridge and Italy changes everything. Additionally, as he issues a warning to Ridge, Eric becomes emotional. I'm sure again, this is Eric saying, don't turn your back on Brooke. Don't put off your future. Put an end to this with Taylor and look forward to the future with Brooke, the woman you were made for. Eric's matchmaking. We are all aware of Ridge's stubbornness, and I believe that Ridge will get even more resentful of Brooke and Eric the more they push him. However, things are shifting in Italy. Steffi, on the other hand, becomes close to Liam due to his near-death experience. I will say at this point, I think the shooting was what almost killed Liam and not this cancer, which again, I really am starting to doubt wholeheartedly. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, hope for Sheila. Sheila Carter and her 8 toes visit Liam at the Spencer mansion this week while Steffi is with Liam. Sheila demonstrates to them both her new foot situation while on crutches. She was extremely upset when Deacon Sharp informed her that she had lost another toe and that it was all bandaged, so I don't think she can probably wear flip-flops after that. He responded with the long one when she asked which one. So, I think flip-flops are probably out for her. I'm a flip-flop girl. I wear them almost all year. So, Steffi and Liam look very uncomfortable when Sheila is showing off her new toes to them. On Friday, July 25th, Steffi gives Sheila a reason to be hopeful and optimistic. As a result, Sheila's post-shooting visit with Liam may actually allow Steffi to open the door for Sheila to actually see her son Finn. She might no longer be completely cut off from her life. Let's see. Nick and Taylor have a talk this week before the trip to Italy. Nick gets something from her. I'm sure Taylor is all in on Nick wooing Brooke. Meanwhile, Finn has suspicions about Grace. Yes, and I do as well. That $1 million miracle operation seems to be getting less and less safe. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful, Ivy Forrester returns and Liam returns to his girls also. The week of July 21st, Ivy's back and thinking warm thoughts about Liam getting nostalgic about their past. I would love to see Ivy and Liam back together. Since her return in spring 2024, prior to the jewelry line stuff, I have been excited. Keep in mind that Ivy and Liam met for lunch, she told him she was still interested in him, kissed him, and Steffi was kind of hostile about it. Brooke discusses Nick's participation in the trip to Italy with Ridge and Eric. And Liam gets a visit from both Kelly and Beth, his daughters, this week. It's not clear what the parents are going to tell Kelly and Beth since Liam's got a head bandage, Liam's got a chest bandage, so they can't pretend that nothing happened to Liam, but at least they don't have to tell Kelly and Beth that their dad is dying. From July 28th to August 1st, Italy on location episodes and major bold and beautiful plot twists. We will be watching those Italy on location episodes from July 28th to August 1st. Those are going to run for a week and a half from Monday, July 28th through Tuesday, August 5th. They filmed in Capri and Naples. Genji, the B&B intern played by Oliver Bell, the son of Brad Bell, will also return. Watch to see Nick really turn on the romantic charm while in Italy. Taylor gave him a boost and told him to go for it, so he is going to. Brooke, Ridge, and Eric all end up in Naples, where Nick's company, Marone Industries, has its headquarters. Ridge has some sort of incident that changes everything. Kind of like the keyhole moment, the last time he and Brooke were in Italy. As a result, Ridge has some kind of accident, and in the end, he realizes Brooke is the love of his life and the one he was meant to be with. We are aware that Ridge ended up in the water as a result of the accident. There will soon be more spoilers about that. Nick's chances with Brooke, Taylor's chance with Ridge, and their engagement will all come to an end as a result of this realization. Brad Bell said Brooke and Ridge will be together forever after this. As the sun rose over the cliffside estates of Los Angeles, a heavy fog of uncertainty settled across the lives of the Forresters, Spencers, and Logans, for while joy and hope fluttered on one end of town, shadows of secrets and suspicions loomed ever darker on the other, beginning with Dr. Grace Buckingham, who found herself cornered in the fluorescent-lit hallway of University Hospital where Bridget Forrester, armed with medical charts, unresolved questions, and a voice trembling with restrained fury, grilled her about the astonishing and deeply suspicious early discharge of Liam Spencer, who had only recently survived both a thoracic gunshot wound and undergone a supposedly miraculous, experimental surgery to remove a brain tumor that was allegedly inoperable mere weeks prior, leading many, especially Finn, to raise their eyebrows in a shared skepticism that buzzed louder with each moment that passed. Particularly now that Luna Nozawa, young, vibrant, and full of potential, lay motionless in a coma in one of the ICU rooms, her face serene yet ghostly pale beneath the soft mechanical rhythm of the machines that beeped faithfully, as if daring the universe to take her last breath, and Finn, standing in that sterile room, staring down at Luna, couldn't shake the feeling that all of this was connected. That Grace's miracle wasn't a blessing but a cover-up, a performance too perfectly timed, too conveniently miraculous to be real, and when Bridget questioned Grace about Liam's early release, the lack of follow-up, and the curious absence of secondary scans or peer-reviewed records, Grace's eyes darted away, and she leaned on the excuse of being busy, ignoring Bridget's increasing insistence on transparency, all while her phone buzzed again and again in her pocket, texts from Bill Spencer, texts from someone else too, perhaps a financier or someone more dangerous, and Grace, now visibly sweating, felt the weight of decisions made under pressure beginning to crack her carefully composed facade, and meanwhile at Bill's estate, where sunlight poured through floor-to-ceiling windows, Steffi and Hope hovered beside Liam, who finally stirred, his eyelashes fluttering like butterfly wings before opening fully, revealing the stunned, exhausted eyes of a man who had stared into the abyss and somehow emerged, and Bill sat beside him, voice thick with emotion, telling him, "The tumor's gone, son. You've got your life back." Grace did an MRI. "It's a miracle," to which Liam responded with tearful disbelief, while Hope gently clutched his hand and Steffi quietly thanked the stars. But even in that emotional moment, Finn, watching from a few feet away, felt the chill of doubt crawling up his spine, because the timing, the procedures, and the complete absence of medical consensus on Grace's so-called miracle didn't sit right with him, especially not when Liam, minutes later, asked to see his daughters, Kelly and Beth, and when they arrived and curled into his arms, it all seemed too perfect, too staged, and Finn noted Bill's nervous glances toward his phone as well as Grace's name lighting up the screen, and as Grace, alone in her office, stared at the $1 million bank deposit processing on her screen, her hands trembled and her lungs struggled for breath, knowing full well that one wrong step,